Copy down question number 39. This is an EOC kind of a question. So they're asking you what are the solutions of 4x squared equals x. So number one, you need to identify that you cannot solve it unless you bring all of them to one side and you set it up as 0. So I'm going to do the opposite, which is minus x on this side and minus x on this side. Cancel. So the right side is now becoming a 0. So this becomes a plus. So I'm going to rearrange it. 4x squared minus x equals 0. So using the commutative property, just switching places. So once you have this, now you're looking at 4x squared minus x. You're thinking, there is no number that is common, so I cannot pull a number. But I'm looking at x squared and x, so they both have x in common. So the only thing that I can pull out common, which is a common factor, will be x. So you need to get this back again after you use a distributive property. So x times what will give you a 4. So you still have to multiply it by a 4. And I have to get x squared back. So x times x will give me x squared. And this will be a positive, so I need to get my negative. So positive times negative. And x times what is going to give me back an x. In this case, it's going to be a 1. You cannot ignore this one. You cannot write a 0. So you can try it on the side. Watch this. So x, 4x minus 1. If you decide to do the distributive property, this becomes 4x squared. X times x is x squared. And minus x times 1 is x, which is this 4x squared minus x. So basically, after you factor, if you try and do the distributive property, you should get this back again. So that is one way to check and see whether you are on the right track. So the next step is you need to find the solutions. You need to find the roots or solve. They all mean the same. So now I'm going to split them into two parts. X is equal to a 0. 4x minus 1 is also equal to a 0. So this one is already done. This will be a two-step equation, plus 1 on both sides. Cancel. You get 4x equals 1. Divide by 4 on both sides. Cancel. You get x equals 1/4. So your x value can either be a 0 or it can be a 1/4. So in this case, the answer will be C. Copy question number 42. They are asking you to factor out the greatest common monomial factor. Keep in mind, they are only asking you to factor. They are not asking you to solve it. So don't go all the way to solving it. Just factor them, find the greatest common factor, and leave it as it is. So looking at 18 and 2, look at the numbers first. So 18 and 2, they both can be divided by 2. So I can pull out a 2 because 2 can go in 18, 2 can also go in a 2. So now I'm looking at s to the power of 2, s to the power of 3. So between s to the power of 2 and s to the power of 3, the common factor in this case is going to be s to the power of 2, which is the smallest one. So I'm going to pull this out. And now looking between t to the power of 5 and t, the smallest one is t. So I'm also going to pull out a t. So now if I open parenthesis, the rest of them has to go inside. So 2 and 18. So 2 times 9 is going to give me 18. S squared is already here. T is here. You need t to the power of 5. So you need t to the power of 4. If you multiply t times t to the power of 4, should give you t to the power of 5. Now going for the right side. So this is positive, that is negative. So inside is going to be a negative. 2 is already there. You need s cubed. You're only having an s squared, so you need one more s to give you s cubed. And t is already there. So this is the final answer. Do not solve it. They just want you to factor. So after you're done factoring, this will be the final answer. Now let's go for 48. 48, they are asking you to solve it. Solve, find the roots. They mean the same. So whether they are saying this or whether they are saying this, they both refer to the same thing. So f of x equals 3x squared minus 27x. So if you want to solve or if you want to find the roots, number one side must be equal to a 0. So set f of x to a 0. And also remember from your chapter 1, f of x is the same as your y. So your y, you set it as 0. So now you have 0 is equal to 3x squared minus 27x. Now let's factor them. You need to pull out the common terms. So 3 and 27, they both can be divided by 3. So I'm going to pull out a 3. And looking at x squared and x, I'm also going to pull out the smallest one, which is x. So open parenthesis, the remaining needs to go inside the parenthesis. So 3 is already there. I need an x squared. I have an x, so I'm putting in one more x. Now this is a positive, that's a negative, so I need a negative inside. 3 and 27. So 9 times 3 is going to give me my 27, and x is already there, equals 0. It's still the same thing. So I'm going to write 3x is equal to 0, split them apart. X minus 9 is equal to a 0. Divide by 3 on both sides. X is equal to a 0. Plus 9 on both sides. This is your one-step equation. So now we have x equals 9. So for the answer, your x can either be a 0 or it can be a 9.